today. Can you hear it? Can you hear the water just streaming outside? I mean, it's coming down across much of the western United States. Flood warnings are up all over the place. But for those areas that we see flood warnings this time of the year, very common. Not a major flood by any stretch, but it is getting briefly above flood stage. So if you're near the Weezer River around Weezer, you're going to run into some flooding in those fields and roads where it's very common. We'll get to exactly where that is in just a bit. And also up around Cambridge. It's all pretty much the Weezer River, which is very common for our area if you're tuning in from somewhere else in the world. Idaho, over the radar right now, you can see lots of moisture coming on through. It has just been a heavy amount of precipitation that is streaming on through. So if we go in for this radar look here, a little closer, you can see exactly where some of the heavier rains are. They stretch pretty much right through the heart of Ada County, coming in through just outside of Hidden Springs, going down through Garden City. Let me take down that opacity there. And then we can go in for a closer look. You can see where that heavy rain is. Look at the stuff coming down around Meridian. Oh my. Right around West Franklin Road going in towards, looks like Northwest 15th Street, North 10 Mile Road, the Meridian High School, Meridian Middle School, getting all kinds of heavy rain out of this. Going up towards Tully Park. You can see all that yellow area coming down, indicating that heavy rainfall amount by Pioneer Elementary and Ustick Road. Tremendous amount of precipitation coming on down. The temperature obviously in the 50s here. These little red areas you see here with the numbers, those are little wind gusts. So this is not a big wind event at all across the region. Let's take a look and see how much precipitation has come down with this rain that's coming on through the region. And so what we're going to look at here is pretty much the 1 hour precipitation accumulation. So that's quite a bit of rainfall that's coming on down. The dark grade of green there is about 1/100th of an inch to about 0.1 inches of rain. And then as you get towards the lighter greens right through there, that's where you see probably about 1/4 of an inch of rain. And then going into the brighter, you get into 1/10 of an inch of rain. So that's what we're looking at across the region here. Pretty much everybody getting into some pretty good rain over the last hour. And if I go and adjust that to the, say, 3 hour accumulation of rain, look at that. Everybody getting into around 1/4 of an inch of more of rain across the region, especially stretching on through the Boise area. Let's go and see how much exactly is coming down in some of these areas. 6 hours of accumulation. Yeah, now we're getting into some good stuff. Even some yellows showing up there across the region. And I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit so we know where we are. Here's Boise right in through there, Meridian, Nampa, Caldwell. And then the yellow, that stretch of yellow coming down just south of Kuna over the last 6 hours, going up into the foothills and looking at that yellow area of rainfall. That is 3/4 of an inch of rain, 0.75 inches of rain. So let's go and take that off here and look at some individual precipitation amounts here in the overnight hours. I gotta say, I really enjoyed the national championship college basketball game. Pretty cool story if you don't know it. Virginia last year, #1 overall seed in the whole NCAA tournament. First game, which the #1 seeds never have lost in history. They lose last year. Incredible upset by a 16th seed. So what do they do this year? They come in as not as the #1 overall seed, but they go through some amazing comebacks and overtime wins, and they win the national championship. So amazing turnaround for the University of Virginia. It was a pretty cool little story. So let's see what we got here with the light rain coming down from the Boise airport. Yeah, it looks like we're up to around 0.15 over the last 6. Looks like right on the money, about 0.20, and tack on around 1/1300ths of an inch on top of that. So we are looking at about 0.33 inches so far in the rain bucket with the light rain that's come down so far. So coming up on a 1/2 inch of rain for the Boise airport area. Let's go in over by, let's just take this reading here. This looks like South Meridian Road, right at the intersection of 84 Meridian Road. Let's see if they have any precipitation coming down and measuring it. No, doesn't measure the old precipitation there at that rain gauge. It's too bad. That would have been a nice observation to have. Let's see what other observation sites we have there. There's one that looks back over here by Hewlett Packard. Yeah, it looks like that is picking up some moisture as well. So they're up to about 0.3 inches there of precipitation. So that seems to be the average that has come on down across the region, and then up and towards those areas that picked up about 0.75. Let's see, this is up around the military preserve, 24 hours, 6 hours. Nope, it's still on track for like 0.3. So let's see what observation gave us that heavy amount of precipitation. I think it was back up and through this area here around Eagle, but I don't think that's measuring any precipitation there. Survey says, no, 0.32 inches of precipitation. So that seems to be the rule. Let me go and put this back on here and see where that yellow area was. There it is. So there's some yellows popping up here. So it looks like this area here. This is up around Idaho City, 0.71 inches of precipitation coming into the rain bucket there. So as you get up into the foothills, into the high areas, you see a little bit more precipitation coming on down across the region, but there's still more to come, much more actually. If I go and bring up my satellite, the Goes West satellite picture, which I love so much, you can see it at nighttime. You can see this stream of moisture coming in from the California area, streaming on up, right on up over the area. Now, typically, when we start to see breaks in the clouds back through here, it takes around 6-7 hours of it to break on through and get into our area. But this system here may have a little energy to boot with it going into the morning hours. So we may be dealing with some rain showers overnight tonight into the early morning hours, going towards the early morning hours. And let's go and see here where that flood warning is from the National Weather Service site. Let's just go to the Boise radar here, and then we can back away from where those flash flood warnings and those areas are. So you can see a lot of green across the region and through there, and then clicking on our warning map here, we can see some green areas. So it's in concentrated areas here across much of the region. Going for a closer look here so you can get an idea of right where the map is. So this flood warning that's right in through here, that's the brighter shade of green. And you can see that a lot of that activity is in just concentrated areas. So that's the flood warning up by Weiser, and the Weiser River up by Cambridge and Council. A lot of flood warning activity up here going up towards McCall. This is a lot of runoff of small streams and those areas. And then the blue is very evident too, because the blue is avalanche warnings over in the steep terrained area of Stanley. So all that incredible snow that we had through the month of February, because of the rain and the density differences, the snow will come down at a pretty good clip. So that is a pretty remarkable thing. Then we got this wind advisory in through here. As the storm system kind of moves on towards the east, it's really going to explode. You got flood warnings all up here around La Grande. So a real, messy time of the year. After you had that record-setting snowfall in February in the high mountainous regions, and now you get all this rain coming down across this snowpack, you get just massive runoff and some mountains. One of the things I want to show you here, Boise River Teacup. Let's see if that pops up the map I want. There it is. Boom. This is the coolest thing ever. So this is literally a good diagram of showing you just how much storage is left in the reservoir. So we're in pretty good shape, to be honest, at this point. I mean, right here is Lucky Peak. Matter of fact, I hope I'm not covering that up over there with my map. I'm going to go and look at it and see where I'm at here. Yeah, it looks like looks like I'm not covering it up too bad. All right, disregard that. So as I look up over here to it's just new to me, this streaming thing. But Lucky Peak, obviously here, there is Lucky Peak Reservoir, and then you go back over here towards Anderson. So you got Anderson Ranch, and then here's Arrow Rock. And then this shows just how much storage is left in the reservoir. And so our rock's only 53% full, and then 63% full Lucky Peak, and we still have plenty of storage back here, 63% full at Anderson. So the CFS are not that high across the Boise River, 1457, 1297. Looks like Lucky Peak's got 2500, just a little over CFS. So that's good floating weather for the floating levels for the Boise River. And so I think now that we get in this rain, the snow runoff will be intense at first, but there's a lot of cold air behind this system as it moves on through, as we'll show you here in the forecast in just a little bit. So we may slow down the runoff, if you will, a little bit because of the cold air coming in behind this system. And that's where the cold core of this system is. It's up here. And you know I'm going to draw. So it's up here going in towards Seattle. There's your center of low pressure right there. And then the trough, or the front, if you will, kind of draping across the region. I kind of missed that. It goes a little further. And then the jet stream coming down and then curling up into this fashion right in through there. So we are in a pretty good zone, if you will, for lift and moisture with this front that's pressing on through. So it's a pretty good little cold front, but the cold air coming in behind it will pack some wind as this system kind of moves out here into the plains, gets very organized, and it's going to cause just a giant storm system in the middle of the country. And now let's see where Vin wants to go next. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Okay, let's come up here. And so this will give you a good depiction of basically where the temperatures are going to be. So what I'm going to do is take away that. I'm going to go towards some forecast information, which will do, I think, the maximum temperature. There it is. And then this is the maximum temperature as we go on in through Wednesday. And you can see we go from the greens here into Wednesday where the temperatures are in the 50s. So 50s to around 60 degrees. So today we're cool now because of the rain cooled air, but it was mild if you felt it before the rains moved on in. Tomorrow it's going to feel a little cooler as those northwest winds kick up and that cold air comes in behind the system. And let's kick this over and go out to Thursday. And then again, we're talking 50s to maybe 60 degrees. The wind speed, let's see if we can paint this on here, and wind speed and direction. And I'm also going to take off these observations. And then we're going to go back here and just go back in time. So that's the current wind speeds here. You can see kind of Boise on through there, and the purple areas of the wind speed coming in around 10 miles per hour. And then you got the darker blues down here in the Oahes, and they're coming in to around 10 to 20 miles per hour with a southeast wind, relatively light. As I come and put this into motion and we go through time from 7 p.m., that was this evening, and we kick it up to 9 a.m. on Tuesday. I thought today was Tuesday. No, tomorrow's Tuesday. So you can see that northwest flow at 9 a.m. kicks around overnight. These barbs here, that's about 10 knots and 5, so that's 15 miles per hour from the northwest. So not a whole lot of wind there. But as we go into the afternoon hours to around 7 p.m., we can now see a little bit more wind speeds picking up in the afternoon behind that storm system. And so most of it looks like it's going to be south and east of Boise. As if we put that legend on here, we're looking at 10 to 20, and then as you get in towards the darker greens, that's 30 miles per hour. Now that's sustained in some areas, and then the green there gets you into about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So that's what we're looking at there as far as the wind speeds and directions across the region. If I go in for a closer look, you can see all of the area in the afternoon, the evening hours on Tuesday will be underneath that, blustery kind of condition with the winds coming in from the northwest. But as you go east of Boise, down towards Mountain Home, Glens Ferry, all the way on down in through this region here. That's where you're going to start to see the wind speeds really pick up. And then you can see sustained winds at 30 miles per hour, bending down in through here by Gooding, Twin Falls. So a pretty brisk northwest wind. And by this time, we should see most of the precipitation start to taper on off. So if I take a look at this forecast map from Plymouth State College, now a university up there in the New Hampshire region. New Hampshire, that's where I went to school, did a lot of studying and other things. We won't talk about the other things at this time. This is going in towards, let's see, that would be tomorrow afternoon. So this is Tuesday afternoon. Big storm system developing in the middle of the country. This is going to become the story that everybody's going to be talking about. And if I can go in, let's do one of these numbers. This will show a little bit of that storm system precipitation. What I'm going to show you here is just a loop because it's a little easier to see if I can get this clicked on. So this loop really shows the developing storm system and where it's going. So this one right here, if I back off a little bit and get my head out of the way, you can see back out here in the west, this storm system dives in over us tonight, goes into the Rockies right here, forms that big storm with lots of rain and snow, and then quickly rotates up through the Great Lakes region. One more time, coming down across the mountains of the northwest, forming the big windy, wintry type of storm back in the middle of the country, right where they don't need it, by the way, after all that devastating flooding. Another round of heavy moisture is going to quickly move on through, and that may be the saving grace with this one. As the last one kind of slowed down a bit, this one's going to get in and get out of there fairly quickly, and not as strong as that last storm system too, with the heavy snows and the cold air that was already in place. But certainly they don't need it. And the mountains here, if you're traveling, we are going to see some pretty nasty precipitation too come our way in the middle. So what we're seeing here today and tomorrow is this system here move on through, and then as we go into Wednesday, right there, Wednesday morning, this pretty much will be all snow in the higher elevations of Wyoming. Stay away from Interstate 80 through Wyoming over the next, say, 48 hours, because then this one going through the next 60 hours, this is when the storm system will get organized. There will be heavy snows pretty much from Laramie, Wyoming down through Colorado Springs and getting in towards the Denver area, where we'll see tremendous amounts of snows in the higher elevations, back through the plains, and then a lot of flooding to boot. This model really likes to be a little bit north of where it's forecast, so don't be surprised if this drops a little south of this track and then race on off towards the northeast around the Great Lakes region with lots of heavy rains and some bands of heavy snow, wintry conditions. So I-35, I-70, I-80, I-90, just looking horrific. I-65, all these interstates where people travel. I-35 going in towards Chicago, that's just going to be real nasty and wet with a chance of heavy rains, thunderstorms. This going on in towards Thursday morning, and then that's Thursday afternoon. And then you go into Friday, it's slow moving, kind of pivoting off towards the east, devastating storms coming through Illinois, getting up towards Chicago, and then it races off towards the northeast. Look at that thing. That's going to encompass most of the United States before it's all said and done. So, but in the meantime, for us, that's your wind. Let's go back to that radar, because that really tells where the heavy rain's going on now. And this is coming in over Boise, and it looks like we are seeing, if I can get the opacity to where I like it, and then we can see the heavy rains back up here where they don't need it. This is where the river flood warning is, up towards Weeza. That's my New England accent. So you can see the heavy yellow bands here stretching from the Payette River, Little Willow Creek, going on up here in towards the northeast. And then that all is going to go on down into the Payette and back into the Weeza River watershed. So that's where things are going to get real nasty over the next 12 hours. And now let's go and hit, the flood warnings. And let's just click on this one here. And flood warning in effect. Looks like we got a couple of them there. So this is for the flood watch that was in effect earlier. Flood watch, we're past the flood watch. We're in the flood warnings now, folks. And let's hit this. I hit the wrong one, the flood warning. So, flood warning in effect for the middle fork of the Payette River near Crouch, affecting Boise County. Weiser River near Cambridge, affecting Adams and Washington counties, and then the Weiser River near Weiser, affecting Washington County. And so here are the details of it. The Weiser River near Cambridge from this evening to late Tuesday night through or until the warning's canceled. It looks like 9.8 feet is where it's at. The flood stage is 12 feet, and it's supposed to rise above or near 13 feet by tomorrow morning. You know what? I can go to that live gauge and we can see exactly where the river flood warnings are. So let's hit here, river observations map, boom. And now this will show us where the gauges are kind of getting a little bit higher across the region. So I can see some minor flooding occurring on one of them. And that's this one right here. So that's the Weiser River at Weiser. And so now we can start to see that live climb of the water levels at the Weiser River. So this latest observation right in through here is 10.12 feet. That was at 10:45 just a little while ago. And you can see it's forecast to get up into the moderate flood stage. So it's already over into some minor flooding, where the flood stage is at 9 feet, but expected to get up over 12 feet of some flooding in the Weiser area overnight tonight. So you want to warn folks. But to be honest, in the moderate, just over under the moderate there, check this out. It tells us exactly what to expect in the moderate stage. So at 12, moderate, and let me scroll on down here. So significant flooding can be expected in Weiser and Midvale, with flood waters continuing to cross Highway 95 south of Weiser. Extensive flooding south and east of Weiser will occur, with water covering Cove Road, Cooper Lane to the depth of 2.5 feet. Flooding will also spread north of rivers towards Washington Street in Weiser, and then the river overflow of its banks near Midvale, with the water beginning to cover the county roads near the river. So right now we're here with minor stuff into the roads, but it is expected to get about a couple of feet deep in some spots as we go towards Weiser, with extensive flooding on Cove Road and Cooper Lane. Most of the folks in that area know exactly how this plays out. They've been through it so many times. But that's what is going on over here with the flood stage on the Weiser River. And let's see if we got any other gauges going off in a bad direction. So we got some minor flooding in the oranges. We just did that. And we've got some near flood stage here. So that is the Weiser River at Cambridge, also under a flood warning. And so here you go. Now look at this. This thing's going to make a dramatic jump here. As you can see with all this rain, this is going to go on up towards 13.79 feet. Major flooding is at 14.5. So that's where we got to look out for the possibility of some damage around the Cambridge area, because if that flood level gets that high with this rain, that's where this is going. If we scroll on down just to read about what happens when flood stage gets up to around that 13-foot mark. It says flooding of fields and agricultural land will occur from Mundo RV Park down through Cambridge and Midvale areas. Water will cover portions of Old Highway Road in the canyon just south of Cambridge. The water will begin flooding in the feedlots near the river, near Mill Road Bridge and Highway 95. So the water is going to come up and approach some homes between Salubia Bridge and the canyon just south of Cambridge, and the debris may be piling up at bridges. Remember, we went through this, just in downtown Boise, down around Eagle, where the trees would get, underneath the overpasses, backing up that water. I mean, the water was right along Eagle Road. I mean, we were inches away of having that water cross Eagle Road a couple of years ago when the massive snowstorm that yours truly called 2 months before anybody else. Yeah, and then 13.5, that's when things get really nasty. And then the major stuff happening at 14 feet. So that's where we're at right now. Flood stage getting up higher and higher in some of these areas. Near flood stage, what's this one here? That's the middle fork of the Payette River near Crouch. So the middle fork of the Payette River near Crouch, look at this, already up over the minor flooding, heading up towards 12.11 feet. Let's see what that's going to do. So low-lying areas, basically at the intersection of Banks and Lowman Road and the Middle Fork Road, will be impacted by floodwaters. Water will encroach the Wheelmunster Park and Garden Valley Trail. The trail will be, river will be out as banks, basically, adjacent to lowlands. Crouch River up by Elk Springs Road. So, yep, the Banks-Lowman Highway, been by that area quite a bit. Fun times, beautiful, but you don't want to go by there now with that flow. Getting up, cranking now, 30, looks like it's going to be up around 3,300 CFS, cubic feet per second. That's a good rate. It'll be screaming through that area. You get in that flow, you're not getting out, my friends, so stay away. Don't bring the kids near it. Don't go near that river, the rivers, period, when they're in this stage. I think I covered them all. Most of the stuff will probably peak, crest, if you will, and then come on down. Oh, check this out. We got some moderate flooding back through here on this gauge. There's a red one at the John Day River. So let's see if this comes up. There it is. So this is the John Day River at Service Creek. Maybe some of you know about that, but we're already in the moderate stage. Going to get up, look very close to the major flooding stage over there in Oregon. All right, so there's your river gauges. I think I'm all talked out. Let's see what we got going on weather-wise. I'll just give you, as I kind of look at it and just go from there. I'm going to make my own because I love making my own forecast. Well, actually making where I can forecast for you. So this is off Plymouth State University. By the way, this Plymouth State University, when I went to college and graduated in '91, we had a professor, Dr. Kermer, was just retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force from Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts. And he came and did all our dynamics and physics and, oh my goodness, amazing math. But he's a great guy. And he kind of really helped build the program to what it is today as far as one of the top research facilities in the whole country as far as meteorology goes. However, if you remember, the internet really didn't start until like the mid-90s. And it was in the military before, it was launched to the public. Mr. Kermer, Dr. Kermer, was part of that. So he launched this website, which was the third weather website ever released in the world. So at one point, this little tiny college up in New Hampshire's website was the #1 hit weather website in the whole entire world for weather, which I thought that was pretty phenomenal. Dr. Kermer is amazing. They all retired now. Great guy, great patriot for his country, and great with the students up there at the university now. Plymouth State College, when I went to it, now it's a university. All right, let me go and take a quick look at these. What you're looking at are 4 panels of the layers of the atmosphere from the surface to just above the mountaintops to about 15,000 feet to around 30,000 feet. And I can just look at the different patterns. And, as we go through the morning hours, it looks like this system will be pretty much on us. Don't be surprised to see snow flying up around McCall and some high mountainous regions, too, towards the daybreak hours. The cold air moves on in. As we go in by noon tomorrow, we'll still have pretty heavy rains going on around much of the morning. It'll taper off, and the way it will work here, if we get any sun, the clouds will thicken up very quickly, and then the winds will crank in behind the storm system, and we'll get clouds and more rain showers to form in the afternoon. So a wet, cool day definitely on tap for tomorrow with lots of high winds. And then I can see this system kicking on to tomorrow afternoon as it gets organized in the Rockies A lot of hot air going in to the Denver area, and then the dramatic shift in the wind will drop temperatures tremendously. So when I worked at the Weather Channel, I did a lot of temperature forecasts for across the country. And I remember one night they had a scenario like this. I mean, they're going to have extremely summer-like heat here, it looks like, going in towards Tuesday afternoon in Denver. And as I fast forward with this storm system developing to Wednesday morning, the wind shift will start occurring around Wednesday morning. Well, it will be mild and there'll be showers and storms. And then the bottom's going to fall out of this thing. This is going to be a fun storm to watch in the middle of the country, especially that Denver temperature. And then that temperature should just drop tremendously during the day on Wednesday. So it should be very mild, and then it should be a dramatic drop in temperature, and then it'll go from wet weather Wednesday afternoon in the form of rain to wet snow going in towards the evening hours across the Front Range. It looks like it'll dip down probably up around, Colorado Springs, going up towards Laramie, places on to the north. I think Colorado Springs is north of Denver. Let me go look. I'm losing my mind. I don't need that one. I'll go somewhere there. I swear I'm losing my mind here. So let's take the radar off. Let's take a journey. Billings, Casper. Oh, Colorado Springs is south. Forget Colorado Springs. You're getting all rain. Fort Collins, that's the one. They're up north. And then Denver's right in through here, and then up to Cheyenne. So this pretty much area right in through here, Boulder. I mean, just they're going to go from summer-like, spring-like temperatures to blizzard conditions. It's going to be a tremendous snowstorm, especially up here in the Front Range towards Laramie, going in towards South Dakota, back towards Nebraska. Just incredible. And then there'll be severe weather and thunderstorms forming in advance of this as the moisture gets drawn up from the Gulf of Mexico into the plains. Humdinger of a storm. For us back here in the Boise area, though, I got carried away in the Rockies. Let's go 36 hours. So this takes us through the afternoon hours tomorrow. Just scattered areas of rain. Snow showers. So don't be surprised if you see any snow showers mixing with the rain in some of the lower elevations. It's going to turn that much colder Tuesday afternoon. And then Tuesday evening, it should taper off and be mighty chilly going on in towards the morning hours of Wednesday morning. Or Wednesday afternoon. Both Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning, but Wednesday morning for sure. Nothing freezing, but still much colder. And with the wind blowing and the moisture in the air, it'll feel colder. Then it looks dry going in towards Wednesday afternoon with maybe a sprinkle. So you're getting this live on the air. You're just hearing thoughts come out of my mind, weather thoughts as I geek out here. So it does look dry going in towards the 11th, so that'd be Thursday rather. Correct. But there's another storm system coming in behind this one. So with that storm system, how much moisture will fall, you ask? And will it be in the form of snow up in the mountains? The answer to that is probably maybe. Good answer there. This storm just still cranking going on up. So if this verifies, I mean, there's going to be a band of maybe easily a foot or two of snow, 1 to 2 feet of snow through areas of South Dakota, going in and over towards Minnesota, Minneapolis. Blizzard conditions going into Thursday. Unbelievable. I actually have a friend. Terry's out there. My manager and Kiara is out there. Yeah, they're out there doing the training. Somewhere in Minnesota. I wonder when they're getting back. I think I forget when they said Wednesday. Maybe they'll be just back in time. Because they could literally get like 1 to 2 feet of snow out of this. I mean, that would be sick. And then that storm system will kind of go right on up in towards If this verifies, I don't like this model. I just don't. I think this one is going to verify the European. So I'm not going to go and look at the precipitation totals there. Let's take a look at what the old European forecast model's doing. Yeah. So let's see what this does here. So that's Tuesday morning. And we're right in here, by the way, in the northwest, and that's the rain coming through. So that looks good. I like that. And the reason I like it or don't like it is I actually looked at the whole hemispheric weather pattern around the globe earlier today, and it just didn't show signs that what we call the GFS model was going to verify. This looked more realistic based on the conservation of momentum, or the momentum conversation equation. So there's that big old storm going on in towards Thursday, and it does slow down a little bit with another storm coming in on its heels, and then it kicks towards the east, and then this kind of anchors it down back behind it, but that's not a lot of moisture with that one. And then that rapidly moves towards the east. So yeah, so the next 4 days, so it is going to be quite the snowstorm. So there's going to be a band of 1 to 2 feet of snow easily in some areas in North Dakota, South Dakota, and going back in towards Minnesota, Wisconsin as this goes on up. Then, of course, you're going to have that snow, heavy snow developing, 12 to 24 inches very easily in some of the mountainous regions of Colorado up near north of Denver, back towards Boulder and towards Wyoming. That's why I say stay away from Interstate 80 during the course of this week, and Interstate 90, and even 70 for that matter. Not going to be fun. Dangerous, deadly stuff. Make sure your car is prepared. And then going on in to Saturday, so that's going to be Palm Sunday weekend. That's Saturday morning with a storm looming offshore. So for Palm Sunday, we got another storm coming in the Pacific Northwest that will provide snow in the higher elevations, a lot of rain coming through. So this weather pattern looks incredibly very wet for the next 7 days, as that's going to kick on through this trough of low pressure here in the west going into Sunday and Monday morning. And then it looks like there's another one on its heels for Tuesday and Wednesday. So for the next 7 days, it's going to be real critical. This is Thursday morning of the 18th. So we're going all the way past this Thursday into the following Thursday prior to Easter. And that is looking just ominous right now, because this storm system, I see it back here in Seattle, but the one behind it looks like it's carving itself out into the northwest. If that verifies and we get that cold air, don't be surprised if you see snow on Easter in Boise. What did he say? I'm telling you, that if that model verifies, that could be very, very interesting forecast going in towards late April. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable cold air mass. All right, I've rambled about the best I can ramble for now, but let's take a look and see what some of the statistics are back here. I'm going to paint on those observations again. Boom. All these little dots are weather observation stations. You can see they're all over the place, and that's Ada County. This is the Boise Airport. So let's see what we got for the high temperature today at the Boise Airport. 66 degrees. Boy, that looks great. 66 degrees. Low temperature looked to be 52. 52. Unbelievable. But where's my model? Let's see what we got for tomorrow. No, I don't like that one. Nope. Nope. What am I looking for? I want that one. So this is the computer forecast model showing for Boise now and points east. Now this is interesting. So it's got a wind speed sustained at 20 knots at times in the afternoon to around 18. And then overnight tomorrow night, this is like pick up the stuff in the yard type wind. This is like tumbleweed warning wind. This is going to throw stuff around wind. Sustained winds, if this verifies that big storm developing, going down into the Rockies towards Denver, and we're behind it with the winds, the northwest winds will come in sustained 25, 30 miles per hour, and then gusts will be higher than that. And that looks like it's going to go right through with clearing skies developing on Wednesday, but the wind speeds still cranking from the northwest in that 25 to 35 miles per hour sustained, and then gust even higher than that. So that's according to this model. So that's pretty sick. And then these daytime highs, 52 degrees. That's it tomorrow. 52. 35 when you wake up Wednesday morning. 35 when you wake up Thursday morning. And temperatures in the lower to mid 50s in between. So a cool, wet week coming our way as far as precipitation. And there's our satellite picture. Love that thing. And then here, I don't want that. Boom. I don't want that. Where did I go in my observations? There they are. Let's see if my friends in Napa came up at today. There's the Napa airport. Drove by it a bazillion times in my day. And not a lot of precipitation falling over there, actually. Those are 1 hour reports. It's probably coming up over 2/100ths of an inch if you look at it. These are individual reports. Bye-bye. There's that little observation thing over there, Ridgecrest. Let's see, we got up over there by the country club. 0.3 inches, so they've got some rain. Green's going to be soft, I tell you, but real windy stuff. Head over to Back 9 Indoor Golf. My friends over there on Overland Road, they'd love to have you come on in. Tomorrow's a perfect day to do that. Get inside. Yeah, Caldwell Industrial Airport right here. See what we got for the high temperature today. 62 there. Looks like we got, wow, 0.18 inches in 3 hours. It's pretty good. Pretty good right there. 6 hours, so you're up over 0.2 inches. And still coming down. Still coming down. Let's do that radar thing again. Yep, got some rain showers coming in right over Meridian, Boise. It's not as heavy as it was earlier, but still some good greens coming right down over the region. South 5 Mile, West Fairfield. This is lighter precipitation on up through here. It's not snow, it's just lighter precipitation, so it's not too heavy up around West Hill Road there. But if you go back towards Quail Hollow, looks like it's starting to taper off a little bit in some spots. The greens are the heaviest, the blues are not. And right where we don't want to see the heavy rain, but that's why those river gauges are spiking, the snow melt, and then this moderate rain coming on down here as we get up towards, so it's at Willow Ridge. These are cool places. Going up towards Crane Creek Reservoir, so way up there, and then of course stretches up into Long Valley, Cascade, McCall. Good friend Marcia's up there with all her snow this year. Marcia and Larry and Marcia. They should have had like a sitcom show. They sure should. And what do we got back to the southwest? More heavy rains. Look at that. Some other stuff developing. Coming in over the Oahes, right around where Vin shot his first deer. Getting up towards Lake Lowell Road, Karcher Road, going on up towards Boise and the Dan Skin Mountains. So a lot of moisture still yet to come on through. What do you say? Time for bed? Hey, there's my good friends over at Idaho Marine. Go check out that. Do me a favor. Go, if you're watching, just go to Idaho Marine on YouTube. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. You see, I've been building it for them. They've got 7. We need more subscribers. Go give them some love. And there's my Facebook page, which I think I'm streaming live on Facebook now. Isn't that cool? And again, if you're commenting, I can't see the comments. I should have said this right from the beginning. I have no idea what people are saying. I have no idea if my mic is off. It may be off because I see my battery light kind of blinking. So maybe all this talking was for naught. So because the battery light's blinking, I am going to say goodbye. And you have yourself a good night. And we'll do this again tomorrow because I'm having fun streaming. It's really fun.